if you don't mind entering the witness box, and then just remain standing. Madam Clerk is going to put you down. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your business address for the record, please.
Michael Morganti, Morganti, and business address is 278 Colony Street in Meriden, Connecticut.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated.
We have a moment with counsel.
Certainly, of course.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Certainly.
Good morning, Mr. Morganti. Can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who you're currently employed by?
I'm employed by the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection under the Division of Scientific Services at the Forensic Lab.
And how long have you been employed there?
In 2 weeks will be 15 years.
And what is your current title?
I'm a Forensic Science Examiner 2 in the DNA section.
And what are your current responsibilities?
I will extract DNA from physical evidence that may be containing biological material. I perform analysis on those samples. I'll write reports with my conclusions and my findings, and testify in court when necessary.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury a little bit about your educational background?
I have my Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry from Boston College, and I have my Master's of Science in Forensic Science from the University of New Haven.
And do you engage in any continuing education courses?
Yes, each year we're required a certain number of hours of continuing ed, which could be fulfilled by attending conferences that are offered throughout the year. We could watch webinars just to keep abreast of the current technologies and advances in the field.
And do you undergo any proficiency testing in your field?
Yes, I do. Twice a year I undergo external proficiency testing.
Now, were you employed prior to your employment in Connecticut?
Yes, but not in the forensic field.
Now, how many DNA reports would you say you've issued in your career?
Thousands, I would say.
And how many analysis have you performed in the area of DNA in your career, would you say you've done?
I would say tens of thousands.
And have you testified before as an expert in the area of forensic or DNA? Excuse me.
This is my 41st testimony.
Okay. And in what courts have you testified before?
Various courts throughout Connecticut as well as federal in Connecticut.
Now, can you please explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what DNA is?
DNA, it stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's the hereditary material that is found in all of our cells that determine who we are as organisms as well as individuals. We all receive our DNA from our parents. We get half from our mothers and half from our fathers, and our DNA profiles are unique with the exception of identical twins.
And what's the purpose of DNA testing?
In the forensic field, it's basically a forensic tool of comparison where we would include or exclude an individual to an evidentiary sample.
Okay. Can you please explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you obtain a DNA profile?
There are pretty much four main steps we can break it down to. The first step is called extraction. During that process, we separate the DNA from the rest of the cellular material so that we're left with a purified product. From that extract, we can estimate the amount of DNA that we have in our sample, which is called the quantitation step. And from that quantitation result, we perform what is called amplification. You can think of this as molecular Xeroxing, if you recall a Xerox machine. During this step, millions of copies of specific areas that we look at on the DNA chromosome are multiplied in order for the final step of detection to be able to be obtained, a possible DNA profile.
And have you generated DNA profiles in your career before?
Many.
How many times, do you think?
Again, tens of thousands.
Now, when the lab receives evidence to be analyzed by the lab, is there a process by which it comes in, it's tagged? You know, what's the chain of custody?
So the first stop would be the police agency would drop it off into our evidence receiving unit. The police would have an agency number tied to their case. That agency number would then be given a laboratory case number that is unique for our lab. So any evidence that comes in afterwards under that police agency number would get filed under our laboratory case number. Each item is given its own sub-item, and then once the evidence comes in, evidence receiving will store it in a secure location until it goes to the various units that whatever unit each piece of evidence is required to go to.
Now, did you perform generate a DNA profile in relation to this case that you're testifying for today?
Yes, I did for 2 samples.
No objection.
Your Honor, no objection from counsel. States 148.
Okay, court will accept an evidence with no objection. States 148 full.
Mr. Morganti, I'm going to show you what the mark that states 148 as a full exhibit. Do you recognize states 148?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what is states 148?
This would be the blood known sample that was submitted under our laboratory case DSS 19-006892 for an unidentified female that was later identified as Christine Holloway.
And did you perform the DNA profile, or did you generate a DNA profile as explained in your prior testimony on this particular blood stain?
Yes, I was able to obtain a single source female profile from this sample.
And just briefly, what did you do with regards to the blood stain? How did you go about doing that?
So basically it comes in, the blood stain comes in on a card. I take a portion of that sample and I go through the steps of DNA that I just spoke about, where I extracted the DNA from that cutting that I took from the card. I made the millions of copies of the areas that we were testing and looking at, and then it went on to be detected, and I made sure that at all of the locations that we test that a result was obtained, and that in fact it was a single source profile which was obtained.
Was it a male or female profile?
It was a female profile.
And when you do the DNA profiling on any particular case, and more particular this one, do you have your work checked by anybody?
Yes, all of my work and analysis was reviewed by a competent second analyst.
And once you generated a DNA profile with regards to this particular piece of evidence, what did you do next?
So all of my paperwork, including that single source profile, was handed to the analyst Kristen Maydell, who was assigned the case, so that she would be able to use that known to make comparisons to any evidentiary profiles that were produced.
I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 68. It's been marked as a full exhibit. Do you recognize State 68, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And what is State 68?
So this was a known sample under that same case, 19-006892. This was a buccal swab of Jose Morales that was sent.
And in relation to this particular buccal swab, did you perform any DNA profiling in relation to this piece of evidence?
Yes.
And can you explain what you did?
Yes. So again, there was a card that had a stain of the individual on the card, and I went through the same processes I did with the blood card, where I extracted the DNA from a portion of that card. I made my copies, and I was able to obtain a single source male DNA profile.
And was your work in relation to this particular DNA profile, was that checked by anybody in your lab?
Yes, that was also reviewed by a competent analyst to agree with my worksheets and my analysis.
And once you generated this particular DNA profile, what did you do next in relation to this case?
So after I gave all of my paperwork, as well as the single source male profile, to Kristen Maydell for her comparisons, my involvement was complete with this case.
Okay. Aaron, I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you. Attorney Gavin?
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Morganti.
Good morning.
How you doing?
All right.
I understand you're not feeling great.
No.
Thanks for being here. I'm not going to go through much more with you, sir. So can we see if we can just agree on this? So you got the blood card from Christine Holloway, which was Exhibit 148. That was tendered to you, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then you also had the buccal swab from my client, Jose Morales, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you said that was a single source. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what that means is it's not a blood sample that could have DNA from 3 different people or 4 different people or 5 different people. It was unique to one individual. Is that correct?
Yes, it would. If we saw if there was an indication of more than one individual, it would be considered a mixture. So this would be a single source sample that would be considered their reference profile.
Right. So if a reference profile has more than one source, it wouldn't really be available for accurate comparison purposes.
Correct. You would either want to retest or request a new submission.
Okay. And do you remember approximately when it was that you received the blood card from Christine Holloway and the buccal sample?
December 6th, 2019.
Okay, so about 5 years ago.
Correct.
Okay, great. So Attorney Durso just went through all the protocols, so I'm going to save you some time. I know you're not feeling great. You went ahead, you took the known blood card from Christine Holloway, and you did your test on it, correct?
That is correct.
Right, and you checked the DNA, the hereditary material that you spoke about?
Yes, I made sure that we obtained a result at all of the locations that we test.
Sure. And you amplified it, correct?
Correct.
That's that copying process you told us about?
Yes.
Okay. And would it be fair to say you did the same thing for Christine Holloway's sample as well as Jose Morales' sample?
Yes, they were done simultaneously.
Right. Okay. So once you had received the profiles, I thought I heard you say that you went ahead and you would have tendered that over to Kristen Medal. Is that correct?
Once my work was reviewed, yes.
And you have, thank you for telling me that. You have a technical reviewer that goes ahead and reviews your work to make sure everything's accurate.
That's correct.
And you go through a checklist and you check and make sure that you followed all the appropriate steps.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. And your work in this case was reviewed by a technical reviewer, correct?
That's correct.
No issues with any of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. And then, so if I understand correctly, so now you have a known, we call it a known sample, correct?
That is correct.
Of Christine Holloway, and we have a known sample of Jose Morales, correct?
Correct.
And then it's forwarded to another analyst to start to do comparisons between the submissions from the law enforcement agency that go ahead and send those submissions into the lab.
Yes.
And you didn't have to do any of that work,
I did not.
right? Okay, that was all Kristen Medal.
Yes, she performed the analysis on all of the evidence, and she wrote the reports, made any conclusions, and performed any statistical analysis.
Okay, great, thank you. Was there anything else that you did in regard to this specific case? And I know you have many, many cases going on up at the lab at the same time. Was there any other work that you did as it applied just to this case, sir?
I know many reports were made. I might have been a reviewer on one of the reports, but I can't recall.
Okay. If I understand you correctly, if somebody else did scientific analysis on their own and they came to a conclusion, whatever that is, there is a chance that you would have been a reviewer to make sure that they did their work correctly.
That's a possibility.
Right. Yeah. And the colleagues in the DNA lab, you check each other's work on a regular basis.
Yes, it's a requirement.
Okay. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. No other questions. Thank you, Your
Thank you.
Honor.
Any redirect?
Very brief. Mr. Morganti, if you were given the buccal swab or the bloodstain card and it had a mixture on those particular pieces of evidence, what would you have done at that point?
Well, first I would see if I would be able to, if it was a possible of contamination. For example, if it was the other profile I was seeing was mine, if I perhaps contaminated it. If that was not the case, we would want to retest first. And if we still had produced the similar result, we would reach out to the agency and request that a new known submission be collected and submitted to the laboratory.
That didn't happen in this case, right?
It did not.
Okay. And can you just tell us what's the purpose of having somebody review your work whenever you generate a profile or do an analysis for DNA?
Well, one, we want to make sure that I didn't make any errors. We also want to make sure that procedures have been followed, and it is also a requirement for our auditing agency that we do these reviews.
Thank you. No further questions.
Attorney Gavin.
No other
thank you.
questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Morganti, you're all set. Thank you for being with us here today, sir. Please watch your step as you exit. Morning. If you please take the stand and remain standing, Madam Clerk will put you to oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your business address for the record, please.
Kristen Madel, Madel, 278 Colony Street, Meriden, Connecticut.
Okay, thank you.
You're all set.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Morning.
Can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who you're currently employed by?
The Division of Scientific Services, the Connecticut Forensic Lab.
And how long have you been with them?
21 years.
And what's your title with them?
I am a Forensic Science Examiner 2 in the DNA unit.
And what are your responsibilities?
On a daily basis, I extract DNA from items of evidence that may contain biological stains or material. I perform analyses. I develop a DNA profile when possible, write reports, and testify in court when necessary. I am also a supervisor for the unit, so I supervise 3 other people in the DNA unit. I am the quality control coordinator for the unit, which means when we get a new chemical or reagent in that we use in our testing process, I make sure that they work properly before we implement them on casework samples. And I am also the contact person for missing persons cases that may need DNA testing.
And is the lab accredited?
Yes, we are accredited by ANAB, and this means that accreditation demonstrates that crime laboratories that offer forensic services that perform the activities in conformance with internationally recognized standards.
And does the lab hold any certificates?
Yes, we have a certificate from ANAB that we passed our last accreditation, which happened last year, 2024.
Can you please briefly explain your educational background?
I have a biology degree, degree from the State University of New York in biology and criminal justice, and a master's in forensic science from the University of New Haven.
How about your background and training in the area of DNA?
Yes, I went through an extensive training program at the State of Connecticut Forensic Lab. I processed casework-like samples. I wrote reports on those samples. I participated in moot courts. I passed oral and written examinations. I passed competency exams before I was put on casework, and I read many scientific journal articles.
How about proficiency training? Do you go through that?
Yes, we have proficiency tests yearly, which are tests that are given to us from outside agencies where they know the answer and we do not, and we treat them like regular casework. I perform all of my analyses, write a report. They then send the results to the company that gave us those tests, and they make sure that we get the right answer. And I do that 2 times a year.
What about employment before Connecticut? Did you have any employment before the lab?
Yes, I worked at the Armed Forces DNA Identification Lab for approximately 3 years, and I did DNA testing on human remains that were found in past conflicts and wars to try and identify those people.
Now, do you read any journals or scientific publications in your job?
Yes, on a yearly basis, we're required to read at least 4 to 6 scientific articles for our continuing education.
Now, in your career, how many DNA analyses have you performed?
Thousands.
And how many reports have you issued?
Thousands.
And in your career at the lab, would the lab do testing for both the state and the defense if requested?
Yes.
Have you testified before in court as an expert in DNA analysis?
Yes,
Approximately how many times?
40 times.
And in what courts?
In most courts in Connecticut, New Britain, Stamford, Bridgeport, Hartford, Norwalk, New London. I've also testified in the state of Georgia and Massachusetts.
Briefly explain what DNA is.
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it is the hereditary material found in cells that make you who you are as an individual and an organism. DNA is passed from parent to child, where you get half your DNA from your mom and half your DNA from your dad, and DNA is unique to an individual except for identical twins.
And what's the purpose of DNA testing?
DNA testing is a forensic tool of comparison. We want to try and include or exclude an individual as being the source of that evidentiary profile. So we develop a DNA profile from the question sample and a DNA profile from the known sample, and we compare those to see if they match.
How do you obtain a DNA profile?
We use standard protocols and procedures that are accepted throughout the nation and the world. First, we want to extract that DNA from the cell. Then we want to see how much DNA we have, so we quantify that DNA. Then we want to make many more copies of that specific DNA, so we amplify it. And then we perform analyses on that DNA to generate a profile that's represented by a series of numbers.
What is trace DNA?
Trace DNA is small amounts of DNA that may be left behind by skin cells when a person comes in contact with something or touches something.
How about primary transfer?
Primary transfer of DNA occurs when a person transfers DNA directly from themselves to another person, or may touch something and leave the DNA on that.
What about secondary transfer?
That is when DNA can be transferred from a person to an object and then back to a person again, or a person to an object and then that object to another object.
Can you explain what a mixture is?
A mixture is when you have two or more individuals in a DNA profile. So earlier I said you get half your DNA from your mom and half your DNA from your dad. So at any particular site of testing that we do, you would expect to see one or two results the most, because you could get one type from your mom and the same type from your dad, or one type from your mom and one type from your dad. So anytime we see more than two types at any particular test, we know that it's from multiple people.
Now, when you're analyzing or doing an analysis between knowns and questionable DNA source, are there different results that can come from that? In other words, different findings that you can make?
Yes, when we do the comparison of the questions to the known samples, we have different conclusions that we can make between those comparisons.
Okay. And what does consistent with the source mean?
When someone is said to be consistent with the source, that means that their DNA profile is found, the known DNA types are found in the evidence profile, and the likelihood ratio generated is above our inclusionary value.
And what is the likelihood ratio? What does that mean?
Likelihood ratio is the statistic that we give to show weight for that evidence.
What does included mean?
When someone is said to be included in a sample, that means their DNA types from the known are present in all of the results that were generated in the question sample.
What does consistent with the contributor mean?
That is similar. That is that some of their types are found in the question sample, which is a mixture.
How about what does eliminated mean?
Eliminated means when the known types are not found in some or all of the results of the evidence.
What about cannot be eliminated?
Cannot be eliminated is a conclusion that you have a partial match between the known types and the evidence types. So we know through validation that you need an optimal amount of DNA in order to generate a full DNA profile. So if we don't have that optimal amount, sometimes we generate a partial profile. So when we make that comparison, there's a partial match.
What is a known contributor or assumed contributor?
An assumed contributor is when someone is assumed to be the person that left that DNA because there's a scientific expectation that their DNA should be there. So, for example, a swab being taken from your own body, a shirt that is worn on you, and we swab it, we expect your DNA to be there because it's a intimate sample.
Can you explain what an inconclusive result is?
Sure. An inconclusive result was when we had a sample that generated a likelihood ratio that was above our elimination zone. However, it was not in support of an inclusionary positive association. So we would say that that comparison was inconclusive and we could not give any conclusion to that comparison. However, since I wrote these reports, we have changed our protocols and we are now reporting out any likelihood ratio that is above 1 as support for inclusion.
And is that associated with this Turing rule that you've explained to me prior to your testimony today?
Yes. So with these low likelihood ratios, we want to see, with any likelihood ratio, we want to see the probability, expected probability that a true non-donor, someone who did not actually contribute to that profile, could give a likelihood ratio at that same likelihood ratio. So the equation we use for that, the Turing's rule, is 1 over x, or what that likelihood ratio is. So I can give you some examples to try and understand a little bit. So when we have a likelihood ratio of, let's say, 10 times. The equation for Turing's is 1 over the likelihood ratio, so 10. So 1 over 10 is 0.1. 0.1 is 10%. So if I were to have a room of 100 people that were truly non-donors, the expected probability that I would have that a person in that 100 people could actually give a likelihood ratio of 10 or more would be 10 people, because 10% of 100 is 10. To give you an example of what happens when you increase that likelihood ratio, we could do the same thing with 100. So if I have a likelihood ratio of 100, and I have that same 100 people of true non-donors in a room, 1 over 100 is 0.01, which is 1%. So out of that 100 people, I would not expect probability would be one person to have a likelihood ratio of 100 or greater. So as you can see, as the likelihood ratio increases, you have less chance of a true non-contributor actually generating that likelihood ratio. So a likelihood ratio can range anywhere from greater than 1 to infinity. So as you get higher and higher in that likelihood ratio, you're going to have more support for inclusion.
Tell us what StarMix is.
StarMix is a software tool that DNA analysts use to interpret the DNA profiles.
Now, is it possible, in your training experience in your field, is it possible to touch something or come into contact with something and your DNA not be detected during testing?
Yes, that's possible. A lot of factors contribute to if DNA skin cells can get left behind, how long you touch something, how hard, what the substrate is that you're touching, if it's exposed to environmental conditions, that can totally affect how much DNA is left behind or how long it stays there.
And when you're doing an analysis, are controls used?
Yes. So controls are used in processed in tandem with the evidence. We have positive controls and negative controls. The negative controls are essentially blank to make sure that nothing is introduced to the process as we're testing. And the positive controls are known DNA profiles, so we can see that the process worked properly and we get that DNA profile at the end.
What if the controls don't work? What happens then?
We then go back and evaluate and try and figure out what might have happened during the process, if it affected the process, and then if we have to repeat something, we can do that.
Now, can DNA get old or die?
We would say that DNA gets degraded or breaks down.
How about contamination? What is contamination?
Contamination is unintended introduction of external DNA into the process.
And do the controls take into account for contamination?
Controls can monitor for the contamination. Like I said, the negative control should always be blank, and the positive control should always be that single source profile that we're expecting. But we also have many ways to mitigate contamination. We wear personal protective equipment, which is lab coats, masks, hairnets, gloves. We clean our surfaces before and after we're done doing our lab processes. We clean our utensils to make sure that they're all clean.
So when the lab receives evidence to be examined from outside agencies, can you just talk to us a little bit about the chain of custody? What happens when it receives this evidence?
Sure. So when a submitting agency wants to bring evidence to the lab for testing, they bring that to our evidence receiving unit. Evidence receiving takes that evidence in and creates a unique lab number and item number for each piece of evidence. They put a barcode on that piece of evidence so it can be transferred throughout the laboratory. They are logged in through a computer system, person to person with a PIN, so you know that it's secure. They're then put into a locked storage spot until the unit is going to do the testing on that piece of evidence. And then when someone goes to retrieve that evidence, they have to, transfer it electronically into their possession for the remainder of the DNA or whatever section does the testing on.
Now, did you perform comparisons in relation to the case you're here to testify about?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when you did that, did you generate multiple reports in relation to your findings?
Yes, I did.
For me, a moment, Your Honor.
Oh, you are? Okay. Just write down these names. Can we just have 1 second, please, Your Honor?
Yes, you can.
Write down these dates. 220. 220 is 149. Okay, the next date, Pete, is 12/13/2019. Is Exhibit 150. Next report, 1/15/2020, is 151. Okay, Pete, 1/15/2020, report 152. And Pete, 3/5/2025 is report 153. Your Honor, I've seen all these reports before, so I have no objection to the introduction of the full exhibit. Appreciate that.
All right, if I could just have the numbers. Thank you. All right, so the court will accept into evidence with no objection states 149 through 153. You're all set, counsel.
Thank you.
Thank
May I
you.
approach the witness, Your
You
Honor?
may, thank you.
Dell, showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 149 through 153. Do you recognize States 149 through 153?
Yes, I do. They're DNA reports that I wrote.
And is it safe to say, in relation to this case, you tested or examined and made comparisons to a lot of evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
And is it safe to say that these are not all of your reports in connection to this particular case?
Correct. They are not all of them.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I want to direct your attention, Ms. Medell, to supplemental DNA report. If you could just tell me what exhibit number it is there.
150.
150. Okay, so States 150. I'm going to show you what's been already marked as a full exhibit as States Exhibit 109. Can you see that, Ms. Medell?
Yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you performed a comparison in relation to submissions from the submissions 4-1, 4-2, and 4-5 in relation to this particular piece of evidence, contractor bag?
Yes, I did. However, it's on my
I'm
DNA
sorry.
report, which was Exhibit 149.
Okay. And can you tell us, did you make comparisons in relation to two known samples that were analyzed, or two known samples that were generated by Mr. Morganti in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what were the results of your comparisons in relation to those two known samples and submission number 4?
So the first sample that I had was submission or item 4-1, which was named the swabbing red RB stain near bottom seam of trash bag. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 4-1 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 4-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual. Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile from item 4-1.
Did you, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 110. Did you make a comparison in relation to submission 4-5 on this contractor bag?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your conclusions were with relation to that comparison?
4-5 was item called swabbing exterior opening flap areas of trash bag. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 4-5 being a mixture of two contributors. Assuming two contributors, the DNA profile from item 4-5 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and one unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown individuals. Assuming two contributors, the DNA profile from 4-5 is at least 550 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and one unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown individuals.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 114. Is submission 16-1-2. That was a swabbing of the interior heel and tongue area of a left sneaker. Did you make a comparison in relation to any swabbings found from this particular piece of evidence?
Yes, 16-1-2 was called swabbing interior heel and tongue areas of left sneaker. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 16-1-2 being a mixture of three contributors with at least two of them being male. Assuming three contributors, the DNA profile from 16-1-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and two unknown individuals than if it originated from three unknown individuals. With the comparison, 16-1-2, assuming three contributors, is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and two unknown individuals than if it originated from three unknown individuals.
I'm going to show you briefly States Exhibit 113. Did you make a Directing your attention to submission 16-1-1, did you make a determination or a comparison with relation to any type of swabbings done from this particular piece of evidence?
Yes, 16-11 is a swabbing exterior heel area of left sneaker. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 16-11 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 16-1-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual. Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile from 16-11.
I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 115. Can you see that, Ms. Fidel?
Yes.
Okay. 16-1-3, was there a comparison done in relation to 16-1-3?
Yes, that was a reddish-brown stain, exterior inner sole of the left sneaker, and the results are consistent with the same results as 16-1-1, which was a single female individual. So assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 16-1-3 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of that, 16-1-3.
I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 120. Can you see that, Ms. Fidel?
Yes.
Okay. This is submission number 17, which was identified as a Green Hanes T-shirt. Did you make a comparison with regards to this Green Hanes T-shirt, specifically 17-4, submission 17-4? And if so, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you found?
Yes, 17-4 was a swabbing interior back left sleeve of shirt. The results are consistent with the Fusion 6E DNA profile from item 17-4 being a mixture of 3 contributors with at least one of them being male. Assuming 3 contributors, the Fusion 6E DNA profile from 17-4 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile from item 17-4 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals.
Now, 17-5, did you make a comparison, the lower portion of the Green Hanes T-shirt? Did you make a comparison there?
Yes, I did.
And what was that comparison, result of that comparison?
That is a reddish-brown stain, interior lower back of the shirt. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 17-5, originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 17-5 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as an source of the profile from 17-5.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 122. Can you see that, Ms. Medell?
Yes.
Did you make a comparison to 17-6 as referenced in this particular exhibit?
Yes.
And can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your findings were with relation to this particular submission?
That is a reddish-brown stain, exterior chest area of shirt, and the conclusions are the same as 17-5, where they are 17-6 is consistent with originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, item 17-6 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of the DNA profile from 17-6.
I'm going to show you States 125, which is submission number 18 in relation to this case, particularly submission 18-1, 18-2. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you made a comparison to the known profiles of Christine Holloway and Jose Morales in relation to 18-1-1?
Yes, I did.
And what were your findings in relation to that particular blood-like substance?
18-111 was a reddish-brown stain from the top surface of the wooden puzzle base. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 18-11 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 18-11 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of item 18-11.
Did you make a comparison to this submission under 18-1-2?
Yes, I did.
And what were your results with regards to that comparison?
Portion of a reddish-brown staining from top surface of the wooden puzzle base, and the results were identical to 18-1-1.
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 126, and then drawing your attention to submission 18-1-3, which would be the bottom portion of the wooden puzzle there. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you made a comparison in relation to 18-1-3, and if so, what were your results?
Yes, 18-1-3 is a swabbing unstained areas of the top surface of the puzzle base. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 18-1-3 being a mixture of two contributors. Assuming two contributors, the DNA profile from 18-1-3 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and one unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown individuals. Assuming two contributors, the profile from 18-1-3 is at least 270 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and one unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown individuals.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 128. This would be submission 18-2, which is known as the Sidney Shark book. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you made a comparison in relation to submission 18-2-1?
Yes.
And what was that comparison? The results, anyway.
That is called a portion of the reddish-brown stain from the exterior front cover of the Sidney Shark book. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 18-2-1 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the profile from 18-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of 18-1.
And with regards to 18-2-2, do you know whether or not you were able to make a comparison in relation to that submission? And if so, what were your results?
18-2. Yes, that's a swabbing unstained areas of exterior of the Sidney Shark book. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 18-2-2 being a mixture of two contributors with at least one of them being male. Assuming two contributors, given the low likelihood ratios calculated, the results are inconclusive as to whether Christine Holloway could be a contributor to the DNA profile from 18-2-2. I did subsequently write an additional report because I don't know if you remember previously I said we don't, currently our protocol is to report out likelihood ratios and not have an inconclusive zone. So I could go read that conclusion.
Please.
The DNA profile from 18-2-2 being a mixture of two contributors with at least one of them being male, assuming those two contributors, 18-2-2 is at least 4,100 times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and one unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown individuals. And then Jose Morales is eliminated as a contributor to the DNA profile from 18-2-2.
Showing you States 129, which is submission number 18-3. The first one is 12. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you've made any findings in relation to 18-3, in particular 18-3-1 and 18-3-3-2?
Yes, 18-3-1 is a portion of reddish-brown stain, exterior front cover of Bath Time book. And that is, results are consistent with the DNA profile from 18-3-2 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 18-3- I'm sorry, are we on 1 or 2?
18-3-1.
3-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of 18-3-1.
How about 18-3-2?
18.
Should be in the lower, the
Yes.
right side portion of this exhibit.
That is a swabbing unstained areas of exterior of the Bath Time book. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 18-3-2 being a mixture of three contributors. Assuming three contributors, the DNA profile from 18-3-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and two unknown individuals than if it originated from three unknown individuals. Assuming the three contributors, 18-3-2 is at least 7.2 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and two unknown individuals than if it originated from three unknown individuals.
Showing you States Exhibit 130, which is submission 18-4, which is Bible Reader's Book. Can you tell us whether or not, in particular, submission 18-4-1, were you able to make a comparison with regards to that particular submission?
Yes, 1841 was a reddish-brown stain exterior front cover of Bible Reader's Book. That is the same as some previously tested items where it was consistent with single-source female, and assuming one individual, the profile from 1841 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of 18-41.
Did you make a comparison with regards to 18-4-2 in this exhibit?
Yes.
Okay, and what were the results of your comparison?
Swabbing of the unstained areas of exterior of the Bible Reader's Book. Results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 18-4-2 being a mixture of 3 contributors. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile from 18-4-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals. Assuming the 3 contributors, item 18-4-2 is at least 9.5 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals.
Now, can you remind us, when you say 900 million times more likely, what does that mean?
So that's going back to what a likelihood ratio is. When we have a positive association between a sample and a known profile, we want to give a statistical weight to that evidence. So what a likelihood ratio is the evaluation of 2 alternating hypotheses to show which hypothesis is more probable.
Okay. I want to show you what's been marked as states 131, which is submission number 18-5, which is known as what makes a rainbow book. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you made a comparison in relation to 18-5-1? And if so, what were your results?
Yes, that is a reddish-brown stain, exterior front cover of what makes a rainbow book. 1851 was consistent with originating from a single female individual, assuming the one individual from 18-5-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of item 18-5-1.
How about submission 18-5-2? Did you make a comparison in relation to that submission area?
Yes.
And what were your results?
That is a swabbing of the unstained areas of exterior of what makes a rainbow book. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 18-5-2 being a mixture of 2 contributors. Assuming 2 contributors, the DNA profile from 18-5-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 1 unknown individual than if it originated from 2 unknown individuals. The results do not support the hypothesis that Jose Morales is a contributor to this profile. Assuming 2 contributors, Jose Morales is eliminated as a contributor to the DNA profile from 18-5-2.
I want to show you states 133, which is referred to as submission number 19. I believe 133, submission number 19, directing your attention to what looks like the collar area of the Black Kings T-shirt, submission 19-1. Did you make a comparison to the known samples in this case from the swabbings of that area of the T-shirt?
Yes, I did.
And what were your results?
19-1 was a swabbing interior collar of a shirt. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 19-1 being a mixture of 3 contributors, with at least one of them being male. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile of 19-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile from 19-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals.
Showing you states exhibit 134. Again, this is submission number 19, but I want to draw your attention to 19-2, which appears to be a red blood-like substance or reddish-brown stain. Can you tell us, were you able to make comparisons to 19-2?
Yes, 19-2 is a reddish-brown stain, exterior front left side of shirt.
And what were your results of your comparison?
The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 19-2 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 19-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of the DNA profile from 19-2.
Showing you 135, stage 135. This is still submission number 19, but I want to draw your attention to the area of submission 19-3, where you're able to make a comparison in relation to submission 19-3.
Yes, that is the reddish-brown stain, exterior front right side of the shirt, and the results of the comparisons are identical to 19-2 that I just stated.
Showing you what's been marked as State Exhibit 137. This is submission number 20. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, did you make a comparison on submission 20-1?
Yes, that is the swabbing unstained areas of exterior of Crocs shoe. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 20-1 being a mixture of 3 contributors with at least one of them being male. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile from 20-1 is 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals. Assuming the 3 contributors, the DNA profile from 20-1 is at least 100 million times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals.
And I want to direct your attention to 20-2 here. Looks like there's a circle area of the pink crack here. Did you make a comparison in that area of submission number 20?
Yes, 20-2 is a swabbing unstained areas of interior of Crocs shoe. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from item 20-2 being a mixture of 3 contributors. Assuming 3 contributors, the DNA profile from item 20-2 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals. The DNA profile from item 20-2 is at least 46 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Jose Morales and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown individuals.
I want to direct your attention to 20-4, which looks like a red blood-like substance on the front corner of this submission, 20-4. Were you able to make a comparison on 20-4?
Yes.
And what were the results of your comparison?
20-4 is a reddish-brown stain, exterior top area of Crocs shoe. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 20-4 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 20-4 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as a source of the profile from 20-4.
Showing you State Exhibit 138, which is still submission number 20, but I want to direct your attention to 20-3, which is a reddish-brown stain on the outer edge of that Croc shoe. Were you able to make a comparison with 20-3?
Yes, that is a reddish-brown stain, exterior outside sole of the Crocs shoe, and that has the same results and conclusions as the comparisons as 20-4, single female.
Showing you States 140, which is a black Nike sneaker, submission 26. Directing your attention to submission 26-1. 26-1-1, were you able to make a comparison with regards to this submission?
Yes, 26-1-1 was called a tissue-like material, back heel of the left sneaker. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 26-1-1 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 26-1-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of 26-1-1.
Now, did you make a finding with regards to 26-1-2?
Yes, reddish-brown staining, front top of left sneaker.
And what were your results with regards to that comparison?
The identical to 26-1-1, single female individual.
Showing you what's been marked as States 141. Directing, still submission 26, but this is 26-2, so this would be the right sneaker. With regards to 26-2-1, were you able to make a comparison in relation to this submission?
Yes, that is the reddish-brown stain, back of right sneaker heel, and the results were also consistent with 26-1-1 and 26-1-2, a single female.
We have a moment with counsel, Your Honor.
Of course.
Honor, I don't know the numbers, but we have some evidence for this witness. I have no objection to the introduction. I've seen it before, and it's going to be tied in through another officer that's later going to testify. So I have no objection. It's a full thing.
All right. Thank you for putting that on the record. Attorney Durso, what are the references?
Yes. For the court's benefit, Your Honor, the submissions or the evidence stickers are 154 through 158.
All right. Court will accept into evidence. No objection. 154, 158. Thank you.
Ms. Mandel, I'm going to show you what's been marked as it's a submission 34. Can you see that?
I can, yes.
Now, is this a piece of evidence that you examined in the lab in relation to this case?
Yes, this piece of evidence came directly to me to examine versus going to forensic biology unit first.
And why would it go directly towards you as opposed to going to forensic biology?
Because there's only a couple of us in the lab that are trained on examining and processing bones in the lab. So with thinking that this could possibly be bone fragments, it came directly to me.
Counsel, what is the state's exhibit number on that one?
On the one that's
Yes.
That would be exhibit 154.
154. Thank you.
So showing you 155. Can you see that 155?
Yes.
Did you make an examination with regards to state's 155, which would be submission 35-1, I believe?
34?
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. 30. Yes, 34. Excuse me.
Yes. So this is the pictures that I took with a ruler in the field to show size, the envelope that they came in, and then the top picture above the envelope is what I poured out onto a Kim wipe to take a picture, and then to the right is the picture of the same items after I washed them with a turgazine rinse, which is like a detergent just to clean them off.
And in relation to this particular item, were there other items that you also examined?
Yes, submission 36.
Okay. And just for the jury's benefit, exhibit 156, did you receive submission 36 in this packaging here?
Yes.
And with regards to 136, showing you states 157, is that what you recall it looking like when you poured it out?
Yes, that's a picture that I took.
In regards to 158, are these some more examples of what submission 36 was?
Yes, that looked like a picture taken by somebody else. That's not my picture.
Okay, but we're still talking about the same submission here, though?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Now, with regards to submission 34 and 36, were you able to do any comparisons to the known samples that you had in relation to this case?
Yes, since there was a small amount of these white fragments, I put them all together. So 34 and 36 were combined for DNA extraction. And what happens with a bone is you pulverize that into a powder in order to extract DNA from it. So I combined the two of them together to obtain a DNA profile. And the results were consistent with the DNA profile from item 34-36 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 34-36 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual. And Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of item 34-36.
Showing you states 145, which is submission number 35. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you made a comparison with regards to submission 35-1?
Yes, that is a reddish-brown stain, exterior upper back of the diaper pail. The results are consistent with the DNA profile from 35-1 originating from a single female individual. Assuming one individual, the DNA profile from 35-1 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual. And Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of the DNA profile from 35-1.
Showing you states 147. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, did you make a comparison with regards to submission 35-3?
Yes, that is the area of ridge-like detail on exterior middle front of the diaper pail, and the results are identical to 35-1, which is a single female individual.
And what further findings were you able to make with regards to that?
So again, since it was a single female individual, the DNA profile from 35-3 is at least 100 billion times more likely to occur if it originated from Christine Holloway than an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of item 35-3.
finally showing you states 146, directing your attention to submission 35-4, which is looks like the bottom part of the diaper pail. Can you tell us, were you able to make a comparison with regards to the swabbings taken from this area of this diaper pail?
Yes, that was a swabbing unstained areas of exterior bottom edge of diaper pail. And again, the same results as 35-1, 35-3, 35-4. They're all single female individual. Christine Holloway, 100 billion times more likely to occur if it was from Christine Holloway than an unknown individual. And Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of 35-5.
Now, I'm sorry, just mention 35-5?
I'm sorry, 4. We're on 4.
Yeah. So, finally, 35-5, which looks like the unstained area, the swabbing was done in that area?
Yes, swabbing, unstained areas, exterior body of diaper pail.
And were you able to make a comparison of the swabbings in that area to the known samples that you had?
Yes, again, single female individual, assuming one individual, the DNA profile from item 35-5 is 100 billion times more likely to originate from Christine Holloway than if it originated from an unknown individual, and Jose Morales is eliminated as the source of 35-5.
When you're done with your analysis or your comparisons, obviously you place them in your report. What else is contained in your report with relation to the items, the submission items that we just went over?
So after the report, basically to go over what a DNA report has, the first page we have the case number, the submitting agency number, the name of the submitting agency that requested the testing, the date of request that they requested it, the date of my report that I'm writing this. Then we go in and we list all the evidence that was tested. Then they're all individually listed with their conclusions that I just read. And then at the end of the report, in the remarks section, we call disposition all the evidence. So we say, like, if some samples were retained and we could do further testing, some samples were consumed, so we can't, and then what evidence was then sent back to the submitting agencies.
And when you submit this report, is your report reviewed by anybody prior to, I guess it's being authenticated?
Yes, we have what was called a technical reviewer and an administrative reviewer. A technical reviewer goes through and checks the report and makes sure they agree with all of my findings. And then we have the administrative reviewer that goes and does more of like a typo / initials on the page, lighter review of the report.
And what would happen if somebody didn't agree with your work?
Then we would discuss it and come to an agreement. And if that didn't happen, then we would go to our technical leader in the unit.
You have a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have no further questions. I don't know if this would be a good time to take a break.
Certainly, we can do that. All right, court is going to stand in recess for 15 minutes. Thank you.
All right, court's in recess.
Great, thank you.
Sorry about the delay. Okay. Ms. Medell, just to pick up where we left off, you have copies of your reports that were done, and we're going to go ahead and put exhibits up on the OMO, okay?
Okay.
All right. And you told me that Morganti did the knowns, and then you subsequently did the analysis, correct?
The comparisons to the known yes.
Yep, okay. And that was the submission from the Ansonia Police Department. Pete, could you put the front of Exhibit V on there? Please feel free to refer to the reports at any time. I don't know if you can see that. And I don't know. Is it on the monitor?
It's on here too, yes. Thank you.
Okay, whatever's most convenient for you, you do what's best for you.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like in Exhibit V that there was a whole variety of items that were submitted for DNA analysis, and the data request was 12/5/2019, and you issued a report on 12/11/2019.
That is correct, yes.
Oh, okay, great. And on the left-hand column, they're identifying numbers in regard to the items that were tested. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. And those are the lab numbers,
Yes.
right? And those lab numbers can correspond with all those photographs that the state, that Attorney Durso put in that you've had an opportunity to review.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, Mr. Mestre, if you wouldn't mind, can you turn the page to the third page, please? Entitled Conclusion Summary. Can you see that?
Yes.
Great. I want to go through these with you. Tell us what the conclusion summary is.
Conclusion summary is just a table to kind of give you a quick synopsis of the item number, the description of that evidence, the type of profile that was obtained from that evidence, and then the two knowns are listed across the top to show what in short, was the conclusion to those items of evidence versus me reading all the words that I read before in the conclusions.
Thank you for doing that. Okay. So where we have the evidence description on the left-hand side, and then you have the knowns for Christine Holloway and Jose Morales on the right side. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go through the report with you here, okay?
Okay.
And we're going to go to the first item. It says swabbings leading edge of one nail clipping left hand. right?
Yes.
And that was from Christine Holloway, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the material that was on the swab of the left-hand nail clipping was tested by you, and Jose Morales was eliminated, correct?
Correct.
He was not the source of what you analyzed.
Correct.
Terrific. Let's go to the next one. The leading edges of the remaining clippings of the left hand. You analyze that?
Yes.
I'm just going to assume that you analyzed all these,
Yes,
okay?
yes, I did, yeah.
All right, if you're comfortable with that. What was the status in regard to Mr. Morales? Was he eliminated from that?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the right hand, the third item. Tissue-like material from fingernail clippings of the right hand. Was Mr. Morales eliminated?
Yes.
Could you just tell the jury what tissue-like material is?
It is just from the body. It'll be a chunk of skin.
Okay, all right. So that's compared, and you have the known for Mr. Morales, and he was eliminated, correct?
Correct.
All right, great. And the last one, in regard to the hands, the leading edge nail clippings of the right hand of Miss Holloway, was he eliminated?
Yes.
Okay, let's move away from the clippings from the hand now, and then I see a stain near the bottom of the scene of the trash bag, correct?
If you could just tell me what number you're
I'm
on.
sorry,
It's okay.
004-001.
Okay, yep.
Okay, I'm just going to go right down
Okay, that's fine.
the list with you, okay?
Okay.
And was Mr. Morales also eliminated from that?
Yes, he was.
Swabbing from the exterior flap of the trash bag. The finding is he cannot be eliminated.
Correct. He cannot be eliminated.
Okay, just tell the jury what cannot be eliminated means.
Cannot be eliminated was that partial match between the known profile and the evidentiary profile. So even though all of his types weren't seen in the evidentiary profile, some of them were, and it's still a positive association.
Okay, so it's a situation where maybe part of the DNA matches up, but not all of it.
I detected only part of the types of him. Like, it's a mixture profile. Some of his types were not detected at all the tests that we performed.
Terrific. Okay. Now, the next one was the swabs, gas, and brake pedal. Do you see that one?
Yes.
Okay. The finding was inconclusive.
Yes, that was inconclusive back then, but I have issued an amended or supplemental report to actually report out that likelihood ratio, since our protocol now is to report out anything above 1.
Right. And I'm going to go through that report with you as well.
Okay.
Okay. But as of the date that you did this, that was inconclusive.
Correct.
The gear shifter, what was the result of that, please, in regard to Mr. Morales only?
He could not be eliminated.
Okay. And just tell us what that means.
That was the same thing that I just talked about, the partial match.
Okay. The next was a swab from the BLS, blood-like stain from the front passenger interior door handle, correct?
Yes.
And how about Mr. Morales there?
He was eliminated.
Great. Now, we're going to talk about some hammers that were submitted. And I take it that these were just submitted by the Ansonia Police Department, and you don't know where they came from or how they were obtained.
I don't recall. Some of the evidence submission paperwork might document where they came from, but as of right now, I don't recall where they came from.
Probably better to ask the Ansonia officers about where they were found.
That might be better, yes.
I would think so, too. Okay, but let's just talk about your analysis while you're here, okay? The first thing says swabbing handle of hammer. You see that one?
Yes.
And what's the result of that?
In comparison to Jose,
Yes.
he cannot be eliminated as a contributor to that mixture.
Okay, so that's the partial that you told us about.
Correct.
Okay, let's go to the next one, the face of head of hammer.
Same conclusion, cannot be eliminated.
Okay, and then the next submission was bristles of hairbrush, and we're not going to go into that because there's no results, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go down now to, just to call your attention, is 12-001, swabbing handle of hammer.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and what about Mr. Morales on the handle of a hammer?
He was included as a contributor to that mixture.
Okay. Do you happen to know, are all of these exhibits, because they're, for example, it looks like Exhibit 9 is a hammer, Exhibit 12 is a hammer, Exhibit 13 a hammer. Are they different hammers?
I would believe so, because each exhibit has a different number.
Okay, great. 12002, swabbing the face of the head of the hammer. What's the result there?
Jose cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Okay, and the swabbing of the handle of the hammer?
Also cannot be eliminated as a contributor to that.
Okay, and then we have swabbing of the face of head of hammer.
He's eliminated as that.
Okay, and swabbing of the handle of the hammer, which is now Exhibit 14, Submission 14.
He's eliminated as a contributor to that mixture.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the next report, if it's okay with you.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Mestry, what's the next exhibit number there?
150,
And what's the date of that report?
12/13/2019.
Okay. Can you call up the data report 12/13/2019?
Yes, supplemental DNA report.
Right. Okay. And during the course of investigation, it's not unusual that you have an original report and then there can be multiple supplemental reports as other evidence is submitted or other tests are done on items. Is that correct?
Correct. That's
And that's what happened in this case.
yes. I tested a little evidence at a time, and a report is issued every time I do a batch of testing.
Great. And that's just to be consistent with the integrity of the testing and the results.
And yes, we can't test 200 pieces of evidence at once. It's a little
Okay.
too much.
All right. Mr. Mestre, could you put up, I'm sorry, what exhibit number did you say the next one was?
150.
150. So this was entered by the state previously, and that date of that report is 12/13/2019. Okay?
Yes.
You're familiar with this report?
Yes,
Just so I don't have to ask you, you authored all these reports?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And then, Mr. Mestre, if you wouldn't mind turning to page 3 of the report. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to go through this report. The first submission says human hair. Okay.
Yes.
And Christine Holloway assumed.
Correct.
Could you just tell the jury what that means?
Again, that's when you would expect someone's DNA profile to be on a sample because it was collected from their body. So this was a hair collected from her body. So when I look at the profile and see that her types are there, then I just assume her to it. Because you would expect scientifically to have her own DNA on something collected from her own body.
Right. If you pulled a hair from what's remaining on my head, you would expect to find DNA, my own DNA, on that pull.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, and how about Mr. Morales on the human hair, the first one that was analyzed?
He cannot be eliminated as a contributor to that
Okay.
mixture.
We're going to go right down the list, okay?
Yep.
The second human hair, how is Mr. Morales, what was the results regarding the analysis involving Jose Morales?
He's eliminated as the source.
And the third one?
Eliminated as a source.
Okay. Now we're away from the human hairs, and now we go to exterior heel of the left sneaker, okay?
Yes.
Right? And it says, under Christine Holloway, consistent with source.
Yes, so this is I obtained a single source female profile, and comparing her to that sneaker profile, she was consistent with being the source of that profile.
Yeah, those were her sneakers, correct?
I don't.
If you know.
I don't know because that's why I didn't assume her to those. If I knew those were her sneakers, I may have assumed her, but I'd made the comparison because I didn't know at the time.
Okay, that's totally fine. Because where the sneakers come from the submitting agency, you're not involved in that.
Sometimes it's documented on my paperwork, but at the time I might not have known. So instead of assuming her, I gave the statistic and the probability for that.
Okay, how about the analysis with Mr. Morales?
He's eliminated.
Okay, let's go down. Interior heel and tongue area of the left sneaker. How about Mr. Morales?
He cannot be eliminated. Partial
Okay.
match.
Now, reddish brown stain, exterior sole of the left sneaker.
He's eliminated.
Okay, now we're going to go to some other evidence. And you've seen the pictures you testified this morning of things like puzzles and books that were analyzed. Do you recall doing that?
Yes.
As well? Okay, so let's just go through this. The first submission, which is 18-001-01, it says reddish brown stain from the surface of the wooden puzzle base. What was the results of the analysis with as it affected Mr. Morales?
He's eliminated as the source.
Okay, and the next one down, the wooden puzzle, another stain on the wooden puzzle base.
Also eliminated as the source.
Okay, the Sydney the Shark book.
Eliminated as the source.
All right. The interior collar of a shirt.
He is included in that mixture.
Okay, and just tell us what included means.
That means that all of the types in his profile are present in that mixture profile from the evidence.
Right. Okay, and how about now we go to a reddish brown stain front left of a shirt.
He is eliminated as the source.
Okay, reddish brown stain front right of the shirt.
Eliminated as the source.
Back heel of left sneaker.
Eliminated as the source.
Reddish brown staining front top of left sneaker.
Eliminated as the source.
Reddish brown stain back of right sneaker.
Eliminated as the source.
Okay, thank you. We're done with that report. Mr. Mestre, could you just tell me what the next report is?
151.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
1520.
1/15/20. Do you have, Ms. Bedell, do you have that report there
Yes.
for your review?
Supplemental DNA report 2, yes.
Okay, so just tell us, I know you said that an original report is generated and then we have supplements, and when you have supplements, do you mark them supplement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Correct, chronological order.
And that's what you did in this case, right?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Mestre, could you just show us the front of that exhibit, please? Okay, and were these the items that you continued doing DNA analysis on?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Mr. Mestre, if you wouldn't mind, would you turn to the conclusion, excuse me. Mr. Mestre, could you go to page 2 for me? 2 of 15. So there was a lot of items that were considered, not all tested, but there were a lot of items notated in this report. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mestre, could you go to page 4 or 5 for me, please? And these are all full exhibits for the jury. Oh, okay. In the same manner, I'm just going to run through the column with you, okay?
Yes.
All right. The first item is a sample from a genital swab. And what was the result as it affected Jose Morales?
He's eliminated as a source.
Okay. And then second, interior back left sleeve of shirt.
He cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Okay. Reddish brown stain on the interior lower back of the shirt.
Eliminated as a source.
Reddish brown stain chest area of the shirt.
Eliminated as a source.
Swabbing unstained areas of top surface of the puzzle base.
Cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Okay. And then we have the Sydney Shark book.
Eliminated as a contributor.
All right. Bath time book.
Eliminated as a contributor.
And then we have an unstained area of the bath time book.
Cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Right. The Bible reader's book.
Eliminated as a source.
Swabbing unstained area of the Bible reader's book.
Cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Okay. What makes a rainbow book?
Eliminated as a source.
Unstained area of what makes a rainbow book.
Eliminated as a contributor.
Then we go into the Crocs. You saw the pictures of the pink Croc, right?
Yes.
Did you test one or two Crocs, do you recall?
I believe it was just one.
I think so too. Okay, thank you. The unstained area of the Croc, what was the result as in regard to Mr. Morales, please?
Cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
Okay, and then the unstained area of the interior of the Croc?
Cannot be eliminated as a contributor.
The exterior outside sole of the Croc?
Eliminated as a source.
The reddish brown stain on the Croc?
Eliminated as a source.
Okay. Now, swabbing RB debris from two HLFs, I think is hair-like fibers. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and what was the results there?
That was an inconclusive result.
Okay. Next one, reddish brown staining side A of a bath towel.
He is consistent with the source.
Okay. And the side A of the bath towel?
He's included as a contributor.
Okay. Just tell us what's the difference between consistent with the source and included.
Consistent with the source is when you have a single source profile. Included is when you have a mixture profile that you're comparing to.
Okay. So the reddish brown stain side A is a mixture, meaning that there's more than one person's DNA that's there.
That's correct.
Great. Okay. The last one on that page, please, the upper portion of the toothbrush.
Eliminated as a contributor.
Okay. We're just going to go over to the next page. The mouth portion of a straw.
Eliminated as the source.
Okay. Now, let's go to the diaper pail. Reddish brown stain exterior upper back of the diaper pail.
Eliminated as a source.
Okay. The ridge of the diaper pail.
Eliminated as the source.
The swabbing of the unstained areas of the diaper pail.
Eliminated as the source.
And finally, the unstained areas of the exterior body of the diaper pail.
Eliminated as the source.
If you recall, and I know it's been 5 years, when the puzzles and the books all came, were they packaged together in one evidence bag at the time that you obtained the swabs?
That would have been a question for the forensic biology person because I didn't examine the actual books and puzzles. The forensic biology examines those pieces of evidence, makes swabbings, makes cuttings, puts them in little tubes for me, and that's what I actually get is the tubes of the swabbings or cuttings to do my testing.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Mestry, what's the next exhibit number, please?
152, data report, 115.
Okay. Can we go to that report as well, please?
Supplemental DNA Report 3.
Okay. Now, and Mr. Mestry, if you could just put the front page up there for us. Okay. Your Honor, this is what I represent is going to be tied in with later testimony, but we're going to utilize, with the court's permission, of course, Ms. Medell at this point. Okay, so there's only a few items that were there, and you testified this morning in regard to your analysis of these items. And I think you said that there were white fragments, and I thought I heard you say that maybe they were combined and put in a blender in order to get a DNA profile.
They were combined. Submission 34 and 36 were combined and put into what we use a freezer mill, it's called, to pulverize the bone fragments.
I'm sorry, what was the name of
It's
that?
called a freezer mill.
Freezer mill.
Yes, where we
Okay.
put them in a cylinder, we put them in this machine, I add liquid nitrogen, so it gets freezing cold, and you pulverize it into a powder.
Great. Okay. Mr. Mestry, could you just turn to page 2, please? This is a short one. So the pieces of the white fragment that had been combined, number 34 and 36, what was the results of your DNA analysis as it was compared to Mr. Jose Morales' known submission?
He was eliminated as the source.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Mestry,
Exhibit 149,
and the date?
2/20/2020.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to have to go over here for that one, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And could you just take a look at the front page of that?
Yes.
Right. That was the submission that was sent to you for testing, just like everything else.
So this is actually, it's called an amended DNA report. So what happens is if we issue a report it gets signed, it gets dispersed to the agencies, and we realize that there was a typographic error. I want to correct that, so I issue an amended report. So all this report is this original findings that I reported in the original DNA report. However, for submission 8-1, you'll see swabs, BLS front pass interior door panel, because in the original report, I reported it as a handle. It was a typographical error. So that's the only thing that makes this report different than the original DNA report.
Are you telling me even the lab makes a mistake now and then?
You know, sometimes it happens.
Sometimes it happens. Okay, Mr. Mestre, I'm good with that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Sure.
Okay. Next one, Mr. Mestre.
Exhibit 153, data report 3525.
Okay.
This DNA report 8.
Okay. You call your attention to the front of it. You have a copy in front of you?
Yes.
And so this is supplemental DNA report VII, which is 8, right, in Roman numerals?
3 eyes, yes.
Okay, great. And so there was some more testing that was done there, correct?
So no additional testing was done. This is what I talked about before, where I said my original reports, our protocol was to report out an inconclusive result when we had that likelihood ratio that fell below what we deem inclusionary statement. So since we changed our protocol since then, and I was coming to court to abide by our new protocols, I issued a report with just the items that I previously reported out as inconclusive, and I generated a report with those likelihood ratios reported. So we followed the protocols we were doing today.
Thank you. So this, the original report was back in 2019, and this is 2025. I take it there's been advancements in the technology in the last 5 years.
Yeah, this is actually not technology, but just moving towards something that the forensic field is moving towards by not issuing that inconclusive range and reporting out those low likelihood ratio numbers, because they do support inclusion.
Great. So, Mr. Mestre, if you wouldn't mind, could you go to page 2 of 3 there for me? Okay. I know there wasn't any new testing done, but the criteria for the findings had changed, and you amended the report so that we knew that in accordance with the new criteria, this would be in conformance with the new criteria. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. So let's just go through. There's only 2 issues here. One was a swab. It says gas and brake pedal,
Correct.
right? Okay. And then you said, in regard to Jose Morales, consistent with contributor?
Correct.
Okay. And just tell us, because we're almost done here, what's consistent with contributor mean again?
So consistent with a contributor is the same as what I described as being consistent with being a contributor. So his types were present in the DNA profile for the evidence.
Okay. And when it says swab, gas, and brake pedal, are you able to tell us what car it's from?
I am not, no.
Right. Okay. And then it seems like at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, there was a swabbing debris from 2 hair-like fibers. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then type, it says undetermined.
So that means that it wasn't a full profile, and I couldn't determine if it was a female or male profile.
Gotcha. And then how about the finding in regard to Mr. Morales?
He is consistent with a contributor to that profile.
I appreciate that. I have no more questions for you, and I thank you for your time being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mestre. Good job. Very good job.
Your Honor, I'm noticing time. I don't know if that will be a good time to take lunch with recess.
You're going to be going into the lunch hours, what you're saying? If you, all right, so why don't we do that? We'll keep it after lunch. So court is going to move into the lunch recess. Before I do, I just want to remind the jurors once again of the responsibilities that you